G'day and welcome to Aussievision. It's Kyriakos here, and this morning I am joined by Zhi. Good morning, Zhi.
Good morning.
So today we're going to do a review and wrap up of Serbia's Eurovision National Final, which occurred this morning in Australia and in the evening in Europe. Now, I didn't get to watch the whole show, but I have watched the performances. I was watching Melfest and Somverketten. But Zhi, you did watch the whole show, so I'm going to ask you, what did you think of the overall show?
Yeah, well, I think you might have missed out a bit because it's actually a fantastic 3 hour production. It felt like every point of the show had purpose, unlike some of those other countries we've covered. Yeah, there was sort of very seamless transitions to the green room and very meaningful interviews with all the contestants. And there's a lot of interesting snippets about British culture. The host did a rendition to Bucks Fizz because, the contest is being held in the UK. And there was a very, very long tribute to the Beatles, who, of course, they're from Liverpool. So there was that connection there. It was actually a very pleasant surprise because one of the hosts was actually Australian. I did some research, Stefan Popovic. So did some LinkedIn stalking there. He's an Australian of Serbian heritage, and he currently works as a TV presenter for
Oh, wow.
RTS.
Yep.
And he's previously worked for Channel 7 here in Australia and was matchday MC for Melbourne Victory Club for 7 years. So
Oh,
some
wow.
fun facts about him. So that was a nice sort of Australian connection. Yeah, I think it was a pretty good show. The only downside I think was the running order. Um, in Serbia, they decide the running order by drawing of lots rather than the producers deciding. And I think, there was some back-to-back songs that were of a similar genre might have cancelled each other out. So that's probably the only critique I have, but overall a fantastic production. Yeah.
Yeah, from bits and pieces I saw, yeah, the production looks so slick, so like one of the best. And also 16 songs is a lot is a lot of songs to go through in one final. But we do have a winner to the delight of many Eurovision fans out there, especially those on social media. Luke Black won with Samo Mise Spava. He finished second with the jury, second with a televote, and he took out the win. Zhi, what did you think of his performance?
Well, I thought it was a very good performance. It's a surrealist masterpiece, is how his supporters are describing it. There are many different genres combined into this one song. There are even sort of like elements of Hattari from Iceland a few years ago, I think, in the music. Yeah, I like the sort of the video game theme of the whole performance. I'm still a little bit confused about the purpose of the lobster, so maybe if you have some insight, Kyriakos, you could share that. But I love eating lobster, so that's great for me still. But yeah, I was surprised he didn't win the televote in Serbia. He came
Hmm.
second in the jury, so he sort of had a Jamala style win there. But yeah, I think it's a good song. Yeah, very unique, and Serbia will be in the first semi-final, which is turning into a bit of a bloodbath. So
Yes,
I
yeah.
think they needed something to stand out. So I think a good choice on their part. Yeah.
Yeah, the lobster that he keeps using. He also had a lobster, I noticed, in the green room there too, and he kept like waving it about behind the hosts. But I'm not sure the meaning, but it's been used as the emoji to recognize his song on social media, which is a great idea from him. For me, the performance is slowly growing on me. I am enjoying it more and more. I thought he did a great job tonight. Um, the first time I ever watched it, I did find it difficult to digest. But to me, maybe I'm a bit too old now, but I got slight vibes from like Iceland's 1997 Eurovision entry. There's just something about
Oh,
it that,
Paul Oscar.
yeah. There's just
Yeah.
small little
Oh,
elements I think I got from that. But
interesting.
I do enjoy it now. But with Luke Black's performance as a conceptual package, there is something special there for Eurovision, and it's great to see Luke take it out. Now, yeah, he didn't win the jury or the televote, so we had um, a jury winner. Did you want to talk about that, Z?
Yes, of course. So Nada won the jury. I hope I pronounced her name right. Not going to try to pronounce it in Serbian, but in English translation, not sure if this is correct. My first soul scar. But I actually
Okay.
wrote this down. I thought this would do rather well because in the lineup of bombastic songs, even in this national final, something more subtle and more earthy really stood out. And yeah, she was very beautiful and ethereal in her own in every way. Definitely one of my favorites. Not very convincing use of the treadmill. Like I get the point. She's trying to walk through a
Yeah.
forest, but not very slick there. But other than that, I thought it again, like just because it's more subtle, it really stood out in the lineup. So I wasn't too surprised when it won the jury vote, but didn't do so well in the televote in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, in my notes I don't mind this one, and I thought she had great stage presence. So yeah, I did enjoy this one. And now we had a different televote winner. Who won the televote, Z?
Yes, so I think his name is Prink or Prink, I think. So yeah, I again really like this one. He's a very striking look. I describe it as groomed Serbia warrior man
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
notes. And the female backing dancers looked very intense warrior princesses as well. I thought, this is probably the typical sort of song you'd see from the Balkans in the
Mm,
2000s, lots
yeah,
of infusion of those Serbian folk elements. So it's really great to see the Serbians sort of rally behind that sort of, more traditional song. And he had an amazing falsetto during one point in the song as well. So I was a bit surprised as a televote winner just because I thought Luke Black would take it, but it was a nice surprise. Good to see the points being spread around. So yeah, I thought well-deserved televote winner. Yeah.
yeah. I've as very similar notes. I thought very 2000s Eurovision from the Balkan country kind of style of performance. Solid vocals. I thought some of the strongest choreography we had in the night, from what I remember as well. And I actually wrote down. I thought it was a dark horse maybe take it out, if that was to occur. So, are there any other notable performances, Z, that you like to talk about?
Well, I think, Eurovision aficionados will obviously remember Hurricane, and we
Mm,
had Hurricane 2.0 because they've completely rejigged their lineup. I was absolutely stunned that they only got 1 point. They didn't get anything from the juries, and they came 10th in the televote, which I was really surprised because I wrote it down. I thought it was genuinely one of my favorite performances. It looked like they were going to an intergalactic carnival, is the way
mm,
I can describe it. And their hair pieces were defying gravity. I thought it would do much, much better. And I kind of liked how they were carrying on the Eurovision tradition of a nonsensical song title, but it's kind of, as Eurovision fans, we just love that. And it was a great graphics, great synchronized dancing. So I'm actually a little bit surprised by that, to be honest. But, we got to let the Serbian jury and people decide. Um, Another one I was a bit surprised got 0 points was Filari. I really liked the yellow and black color scheme.
oh yeah.
And it was a really good contemporary dance song. It came after Prink, so maybe that's why I sort of got lost a bit in the running order. Again, I think because they drew lots, there was a series of like male soloists that sort of ran after each other. So maybe that's why I didn't do so well. And I think the fourth place song, Philippe Ballos, was also a very good performance. It's a really good dance song that you can imagine in the clubs. I did think he had a very good, effective light show. It was one of the most stimulating performances in that regard, but I think some more backing dancers would have really added more energy. So I do think the top four in this national final were well deserved, but I'm a little bit surprised at how poorly Hurricane and Filari did, in my personal opinion. But overall, an absolutely fantastic national final, and I think Serbia can really be competitive in this very competitive semi-final one. This is shaping up to be in Eurovision. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there with Hurricane. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought some questionable lyrics with like release your stress and make a mess. I'm not sure what they're trying to say there. But I don't know. Yeah, you're right about the televote. I thought they were going to do a lot better. I don't know. Are people really bitter about this being a Hurricane 2.0? It's a
Yeah,
very different
maybe.
Hurricane. There's no choreography. It's a, so yeah, a very a very different different approach to the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was surprised as well. Yeah, you mentioned Philip Barlos. He was actually my favorite. I thought he was more palatable than Luke Black, and he reminded me of like Madonna's Vogue. Gave me
Mm,
those kind of
yeah.
vibes. I do
Yeah.
agree, extra dancers would have been good, but I did like his like sparkly shirt and sparkly gloves, and the dark aesthetics. I think actually really worked with that song. And another one of my favorites was the one that performed second, Boris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really actually love this staging. I loved his vocals. I thought they were on point for the song, and I love the white and glass aesthetics that he was using. And I wrote down very Eurovision ready, so I was quite excited with that one.
I wrote down for that one, Boris. I think he might have stolen Constructor's all-white Eurovision
Oh
outfit and
yes.
modified it a little bit. But it's a bit of a generic Balkan ballad, that one, but I did enjoy that one as well. I think the running order was a bit unfortunate, but very good as well. Yeah.
Yeah, very unfortunate for him. Well, all right. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us know if you agree with the results of Serbia's national final. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.
See ya.